Well, a very warm welcome to Broadhaven for the Pembrokeshire Coast Triathlon, one of the most spectacular events on the calendar, and it's round 2 of the Welsh Super Series, the first round taking place in Llanelli. So we know the runners and riders. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top today. Well, Llanelli was all about running ability. We saw some heroics on the bike from Ford and Pollard in the men's event, but it was Alex Matchett who came through in the end with a tremendous performance. Ollie Simon did well, finished 4th in the end. Chris Silver, he was the man chasing Alex Matchett, but Matchett was more than the match for anyone else. He was very, very quick, just over 3 minutes per kilometre on his 5k run, and he set himself up as the favourite for today's race. Now let's look at the distances. We start with the swim. It's open water, it's in the sea, it's going to be rough, 1500 metres, that could take a while. Onto the bike ride, which is just slightly more than the Olympic distance at 43 k's, really matching the terrain and the geography of this part of the world, and then a 10.6 kilometre run, and most of it is along the cliff tops. It is spectacular, but the runners won't be able to watch anything but where their feet go. It's a dramatic scene, and Matchett knows exactly what's coming. Has he retained his form from round 1?
Training's been going well since Llanelli, so I'm confident, and obviously I want to go out and put in a good performance in my home race in front of friends and family.
Well, Ollie Simon is no stranger to this part of the world either, and he has to be one of the favourites, having won this title last year. It's a little bit longer than Llanelli, and that suits him.
I've been around the bike course quite a few times, and I know the run route off by heart. It is a really nice ride, and it's a tough race, so it suits the stronger athletes. You can't get away with anything on your legs. Feel a bit like you've done a half after doing one of these ones.
Well, they'll have to make sure he has a better swim than he had in Llanelli. He needs to be up with the leaders when he comes out of the water. And you can see the waves coming in. 1 or 2 athletes not looking forward to this first phase. Certainly Emma Palfrey is one of them. She is looking very nervous, but she comes from a swimming background, so no real reason for that. She's 34 and finished 2nd to Catherine Marks in Llanelli. I wonder what she can do today.
It's horrible. I'm a pool swimmer and swimming's my background, so I should be good at the swimming, but I don't know, I just don't you feel like enclosed and sort of claustrophobic, so it's all good experience, isn't it? And we'll see how I feel. Go as hard as I can, hold it for as long as I can. Hope I do all right.
Put a black line on the bottom, and I'm sure she'll be absolutely fine. The perfect line, incidentally, is to the right-hand side of the start, away from the breakers. The majority have gone to the left. I think they're going to struggle. It'll be interesting to see as they come out through the back of the surf, and it's a clockwise loop they've got to swim. 1500 metres, remember the total distance. Under the wave is the way to go. Not too many of them opting for that, but you can already see that those on the right hand side of the start have got 10-15 metre advantage. That could prove crucial later on. Well, it is a stunning setting, and already the elite starting to show their form. They will be swimming at least twice as quick as the slower swimmers in the field. Matchett with those cupped hands leading the way. Ollie Simon on his tail, so that's a better start from Simon.
This one's a tough one. It does play to my strengths a bit more because you can get stuck into the bike. The bike takes over an hour, so it is a little bit harder. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting a good solid race under my belt here.
Matchett applying the pressure at the front of the field. He's a former swimmer and a very good national level swimmer as well, Alex Matchett. So I don't think Simon will be too worried, but if he's going to beat him today, he's got to be close. Now time to take advantage of the surf. It's all about the timing. Keep the head down, keep the feet kicking. There's no point trying to swim away from it. You might as well wait for the wave to come. And Ollie Simon is exactly 1 wavelength behind, some 30 metres the distance at the moment. And there you see the margins. Well, they'll be glad that that phase is over. The less experienced open water swimmers will have struggled a little, but the times are still very good. I've got Matchett swim at just under 19 minutes and Ollie Simon around 19:12, 19:13, so just about 15 seconds between the two leaders. Matchett, as we saw in Llanelli, is very, very good in transition. No excuse for not being. You can just see sprinkles of talc on the training shoes in preparation for T2. Grabs the bike this time round. Now Simon tends to take his time. So a similar situation to the one we saw in Llanelli with Matchett. A quick transition, first out onto the road, but he was caught in the bike, and Ollie Simon might fancy his chances of taking the lead before the end of phase 2. Third out of the water is James Dean, and quite a margin between himself and Ollie Simon. Could be a long, lonely race for him. Now Simon's a powerful athlete, does a lot of the 70.3s. We've seen him racing Ironmen. That's where his bread and butter is, but he'll be enjoying racing at home. Always see him in Tembe. And the 1500 metre swim spreading the field out as we see the first woman out of the water. From Cardiff Triathlon Club, it's Millie Kipling, 28-year-old, another athlete with a swimming background, and she'll be up against Katie Greenwood. Emma Palfrey also in the field, who did exceptionally well in Llanelli. Catherine Marks is also here, Fiona Marks racing as well, no relation, and Jasmine Boyer in second place at the moment after a good swim, but that is her trump card play. Katie Greenwood now coming out of the water. She's pretty handy on the bike and the run actually, so we'll expect to see her make some ground. This is Emma Palfrey, just beaten to the line in Llanelli. Catherine Marks catching her in the last 150 metres. And here is Marks. Which one of those two is going to win today? That could be a very, very interesting contest. Fiona Marks just making her way up towards the transition area. All ages, all backgrounds, all abilities here today, and Broadhaven putting on a good show. Slightly windy conditions, and it's due to get wetter and windier as the day goes on, which is a real shame, but once you're in race mode it doesn't matter. Matchett on a climb that he knows well, and he's already had one look over the shoulder to see if Ollie Simon's coming, and we can see that he's got at least 150 metres clear.
I actually live on the bike course, so I've been practicing quite a bit, so there's no excuses that I'm out of practice or anything like that. So yeah, it's really good that I get to train here. The roads are really tough for cycling and everything, so it makes you strong. So yeah, it'd be good to show what I can do on the course.
Well, we will see, but he is being caught. The machine is on his way. Ollie Simon has got visual on Alex Matchett, and the long, flatter sections suiting Simon. It's the steep climbs where he tends to lose some ground. 35-year-old, he's a semi-pro, is Simon. Now, Matchett, a little steadier than we saw in Llanelli, but as the going gets tough, you'll see that head bobbing up and down. Now, Matchett's the man who claims he knows these roads well. Ollie Simon, he's ridden here plenty of times, to be honest, but he's on a much better line, Simon. Goes round the outside, cuts the corner tight, and has gained, 10 metres in the last 50. Matchett is a bag of nerves going down the hills, and that's an opportunity for Simon to make his break. And he knows he needs a good lead going into T2 if he's going to win.
I'll be trying to drop him on the bike, hopefully. The hills are going to play into his hands a bit because he's a bit lighter weight than me, but once we get moving, I'm hoping I can put a bit of a gap in, but yeah, it's going to have to be a big gap to drop him.
We will see how he goes. Now, Katie Greenwood has taken the lead in the women's race. She's gone ahead of Millie Kipling, who was first out of the water, and Greenwood was 2 minutes down out of the swim. Well, that's a phenomenal ride she's having. Millie Kipling still in second place. A podium would be a very, very good result for her. Emma Palfrey wants to get into top spot, having been denied in Llanelli just a couple of weeks ago. And Palfrey about to go past Boyer. So Palfrey gaining places, but not time on Greenwood. She's a really intense competitor. The satisfaction comes at the end of the race.
On the day, I can't think about anything. It's just a case of when I get into the swim, getting to the end of the swim, getting through transition onto the bike, calming myself down once I'm on the bike and out the swim. I've enjoyed the bike in the last couple, and then just getting onto the run, and it's just about what I'm doing, not really looking around at anyone else.
I wonder how many hours she spends every day thinking about the racing. That's why a lot of people do it. Now, Ollie Simon is into the lead, but Matchett is still there or thereabouts. A gap of, 60 metres at the moment. And Ollie Simon knows that that is not enough if he's going to win here today. 2 minutes is my prediction that he needs going into T2, or coming out of T2 to be precise, because Matchett's transitions have been brilliant so far this season. He's hanging on in there, but he is having to work hard. And I just wonder how much of his running strength is being sapped out of those legs. And anyone who's done this triathlon will know that you need an enormous amount of strength for the final phase. There's running on the beach, there's running along the cliff tops, and it really does sort the strong from the weak. Ollie Simon won last year. I wonder whether he's got the strength to hang on this time round. Welcome back to Broadhaven and the Pembrokeshire Coast Triathlon. We are well into the second phase, the bike ride, and Alex Matchett is hanging on for grim death. He's got Ollie Simon, a real talent, up in front of him, but Matchett is the better runner. Simon now into T2, and if he's slick, he may exit with a 30-second lead. Simon gaining a minute over Matchett on the bike ride, having lost a little in the water. There's not much between them, but with Matchett putting the shoes on, Ollie Simon is away. He has an advantage, but is it big enough? He drops down onto the beach, the first 500-600 metres along the beach, and then they'll work their way up the hill onto the top of the cliffs. A look over the shoulder and a smile. Is he saying, I've got you, or is he saying, I haven't got enough? Well, he knows how good Matchett is, but you never quite know what form the opposition are in. The distance is 70 metres. It's Ollie Simon who plays the hare today. Matchett looks relaxed. He's got a very efficient running style, and he's capable of running 3:05, 3:10 for each kilometre. That should be enough. Third place at the moment is James Dean, which is exactly where he was when he came out of the water. Nice slick transition from him. He's hardly seen a soul today, and he's only just going to see two small figures at the end of the beach as they disappear. Matchett's already gained 15-20 metres, and when the climb starts, that is when he will eat up the distance between the two of them. The lighter figure finding the ascent that much easier, and it goes up and up and up. There's not a lot of overtaking space, but he'll find a way through. Simon's generous enough to move to the side, but a little too early. Well, this is the situation we want in the last 50 metres, but there's only one winner now, and Alex Matchett is going to make it 2 out of 2. He's a long way from home, but look at the difference on the uphill sections. Class performance from Matchett. When he gets his bike riding up to world-class level, he is going to be a match for anyone. very little rest on these sections. Even the downhills are technical. James Dean powering his way up the first climb. The town of Broadhaven in the background, and many athletes have yet to reach the second transition. You can just see the figures of Matchett and Simon making their way along the cliff tops. Sort of views you want when you're on a leisurely walk, but their focus, their attention will be on the path. Here comes a familiar figure, Richie Gardner, multiple Welsh marathon champion, wearing 232, and he will do some damage on the run. I must say, his triathlon has got better and better year on year. He's now given up the serious marathon running, but still enjoys a burnout on the triathlon course. Coming into the exchange is Katie Greenwood from Cardiff Triathlon Club. She's had a good ride, a very good ride indeed. 1:21 unofficially her time on the bike, and she runs around 43-44 minutes for the 10k, so should be able to clock around 45 on this tough running course. Is that going to be enough? Millie Kipling first out of the water, and she's held on pretty well on the bike. And we have two Cardiff Triathlon Club runners, 1 and 2 in the women's event at the moment. We're waiting to see how Catherine Marks, Fiona Marks and Emma Palfrey are getting on. They've all exited T2. Well, here comes Catherine Marks. She had a brilliant battle with Palfrey in Llanelli, but that was a shorter course and a very different surface. Likely to see different results here.
When you're running flat, you know roughly you can hold a pace, but the watch is no good on hills. You can look at it, but it makes no difference really on pace. I think it's just on feel, really.
Body temperature, breathing rate, pulse rate, all indicators of how hard you're working. Here's Fiona Marks. She's going well. She's transitioned beautifully onto the run and looks as though she's going to make up a few places. It has to be said that all events, particularly triathlons, are about location. The better the views, the more likely you are to come back for the next edition. And that, of course, is what the race organisers want, and they love having someone like Ollie Simon along. They like to see a battle. James Dean still struggling to catch the leaders, but there's no chance that they're going to catch this man. Alex Matchett has opened up those legs. He's put in a fine performance here today. He put in a swim of 18:58, 1 hour 11:04 for the 43-kilometre bike ride, and his run is under 40 minutes in these conditions. That is impressive. What a star. He makes it 2 out of 2 here.
Very happy to win today. It's a shame that we couldn't catch Pembrokeshire at its best, but as I said, a true test today. The swim was quite a bit of chop in there, swallowed quite a bit of seawater, which wasn't nice, but it's the same for everyone. And then obviously a really tough bike course and a tough run course to finish as well.
Ollie Simon gave Matchett a run for his money, but he needed a bigger lead coming out of T2. But Simon at 35 is still at the top level.
It's hard to keep up with the likes of Alex with the speed he's got in his arms, legs, everything. Like on the swim, he kind of took off and I was struggling to hang on. On the bike, it was anytime we were above 20 mile an hour, I was happy. But as soon as we hit some kind of gradient, he'd catch me up again. But no, I knew I'd needed a bit more of a cushion to stay away on the run than that.
And James Dean, he's been in third place from start to finish.
I knew I was never going to beat Alex and Ollie. Like they're decent athletes and they're good at long distance. So yeah, can't really complain with it.
Well, here are the results, and the time tells you just how tough that was. 2:09.39, traditional Olympic distance. They can do in 1:47, so Matchett's done well to win this one. Simon 2:23 behind, James Dean in third. In the women's race, we've yet to see who's going to make the top three, but it looks as though Katie Greenwood is going to take the win. She had a good swim, good bike ride and a solid pace on the run, given no one else a chance. Now this is the fight for third and fourth, and Catherine Marks just moving up into third position ahead of Millie Kipling. And I can tell you that Fiona Marks has already gone past. She's into second place, having made up a huge amount of ground. Greenwood drops down onto the beach, the sand in firm condition, so it's not too bad. No suction underfoot, and she's still driving 100% for the line. 2.5 hours she's been on the go. Katie Greenwood taking the title here in Broadhaven.
The swim was hard, it was very wavy. I really enjoyed the cycle ride, but the run was tough as well. It was quite windy and quite difficult terrain, but really enjoyed it, great atmosphere.
Solid in each three of the disciplines for Greenwood. Fiona Marks, on the other hand, has been average in the first two, but quite sensational in the run. Sub 44 minutes on this course is a really, really good performance. She gets second.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by the hills and the coast path, but it's so beautiful. Like, I was just smiling the whole way around, and everyone on the course is so lovely.
Catherine Marks is going to take third, which will keep her at the top of the series standings.
Yeah, I know the course quite well, so that's really good. And yeah, there's loads and loads of people who are like really friendly and who I know. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to do that well.
Well, you'll be hard pressed to find someone who didn't enjoy today's race. Katie Greenwood especially, with 2:36.47 taking the win. Fiona Marks 2, Catherine Marks 3, Millie Kipling first out of the water, but has to settle for fourth at the end of the day. It was a tremendous women's race. And the men's really highlighted by the performance of Alex Matchett. He was outstanding, and here's his dad finishing the race, who actually got Alex into the sport. Bragging rights to the youngsters tonight in the Matchett family. It's not just about winning. Many people have raced here before, trying to beat their PB. Some are here to complete their first ever triathlon. They've chosen the good one. And there's always a little bit of energy for a sprint. Well, from the wilds of the Pembrokeshire coastline, we are going urban for round 3. Cardiff hosting the next of the Welsh Super Series triathlons. It's flat, it's fast, it's frenetic.